Hello and thank you all for watching. This is Manny Sunny Sun for an astrological report. We begin with this Pisces Virgo axis configuration. The Sun is in Virgo, Moon is in Pisces, conjoins with Neptune, and the Sun is together with um, Jupiter. And so we begin with this full moon. It's a quite powerful just in and of itself, and on the other hand, everything is square to Saturn right now, which is still on the later degrees of Scorpio. And this aspect will be rather difficult. Saturn, of course, describes, together with Scorpio, a climate of regeneration in the face of fears of dispossession, including the disposition of our own essence. Either we will be ready to birth renewal process of all old patterns, or we will be together at war, in revolt with finding more power than we had in our lives. So this renewal of our own selves will lead us to have a new vision, especially in the international conflict, even when Saturn will return into the sign of Sagittarius. The Sun is conjoined with Jupiter and in Virgo and will bring us in dissatisfaction, particularly at the level of work and our daily lives. Opposed to the conjunction is with the Moon in Neptune in Pisces. These problems that relate to an irrational or more an emotional or having the opposition of irrationality and confusing thoughts about these current problems and situations. So there will be two ways to respond to this current energies. One of them is the unconscious, and our abilities who could develop during this period of time with Jupiter that occurred in Leo for 1 year and who pushes to criticism, to severe judgments, and wishing to admit anything other than small sterile truth, which no longer works with the world today. And because of this conjunction with moon-Neptune will provide an excessive dimension to a lot of claims. And so, the one to make good balance in this report is to evaluate the logical way of our experience in order to extract which will enable us to examine on our road and to continue on. So while taking into account our dreams, hopes, and aspirations, ideals, and put them in the service of the collective consciousness, move towards a simpler life with much less waste and better hygiene of life. By accepting these discounts and questions, we'll be able to keep an inner peace and link together with the rest of the world. In refusing, we'll be cut off from the world and life. If not wanting to be part of it, then we'll be feeling a sense of powerlessness, while in laying in the blame on everything that exists in this world. Saturn forms one favorable aspect together with Mercury, and it will be a sextiling, which is it's good, but not too close. But on the contrary, it makes us curious, work that exists around us, and we'll be able to carefully observe the situation, understand the pieces of the puzzle, anything that's missing upon this world, then we can bring into manifestation. The only planet in favor in this full moon is with Pluto, whom we have requested a serious change and radical transformation of our human conditions in order to actively contribute to the creation of a new paradigm. And so the ascendancy of this full moon is in Aquarius, the sign whose Uranus is the master, and invites us to free ourselves and liberate from our channels, to individualize the mind, to fully express our potential, original and unique, in order to contribute to the advancement of all humanity, communicate by the core values of the spirit and universal wisdom. And so, free ourselves of often daily and more difficult to live because we find meaningless in this emptiness. Uranus forms a supportive trine to the conjunction of Venus-Mars, and so we'll be in Leo. He invites us to discover and or recognize our own values, what we'd like to do, to be, and how we express with strength of the heart and of the soul without betraying our core values. So beside these two planets, Venus-Mars conjunction are also staggered with a formation of aspect together with Pluto. The staggered formation is not violent, but as the squares, we request an inferior role to find these answers for us. Pluto asks us to really get what we're really interested, ferreting through information, deep psychological examination, and what we animate within our own unconscious to come out in the conscious to help look at the world and die of all these old patterns in a materialistic world exclusively. So it is time to be in front of this and to have a better life. So of course there will always be that Uranus Pluto square that will be an activation, and will end its degradation around March 2016, I believe, and will ask us to die of all these past forms and what we reinvent and make a new world. What we have seen so far. And so we live in a perfect and difficult period in time. I don't know where anyone lives at the moment, but there's mostly difficulty happening everyone upon this earth. And it's quite possible to know that many of us have wanted to embody in this troubled period just to bring gift of this love of the earth and mankind. We wanted to participate in this big change. And so it is by our own choice and actions and daily basis in this world that we bring change. The energy is now present to facilitate our own awareness and accompany us. Nothing will be done without us, but with and without our own change. So I think this year will be one, and especially a month of August, where energies have been very, very strong. It is an important milestone in the level of the vibration of the universe that we must all feel. I believe that the person is here not to open in that person is not open to this wider dimension of the soul. So this full moon invites us all to feel the collective, the moon in Pisces, to feel more and more strongly overriding the material consciousness. So the Virgo is a sign of questioning and purification. It's being forced to sacrifice and render its own body to turn into this earthly into the gift, to use the qualities of earth for a better quality. So it's a reflection of obligations which we grace upon, and on the fact that the equipment must serve and not enslave us. So Jupiter soon will be in a disposition, a dissonance with the North Node, will be present in the sign for several months. Our material world quality and non-quality of our daily lives, our hygiene, life, ecology, jobs will be much called into question. So this axis of Virgo Pisces will be important by the presence of Jupiter in Virgo and Neptune in Pisces, but also by the axis of the lunar nodes, Aries Libra. So with a dissonance to the South Node in the fish, we must now apprehend this matter of the sacred way with a lot more simplicity and respect to get water from the heavens above and on Earth. So this axis Virgo is negative and promotes the stars of self victimization, martyrdom, all these types of self affliction. It's always a fault that we project something externally into the world, into material existence. That's why the material world has always been known as a incarnation of responsibility. So the sign of Virgo is a sign of order and perfectionism that will be felt by many as a big mess, especially with the effects being dissolved by Neptune. Some people refusing new order will have to have the heart to cause trouble and create a mess, and the mess will only be by picking up the little beast critically with ease, where nothing is ever as it goes. Moralizing attitudes which will not cover up the inability to recover in the question. And so there's an idea of automation with the sign of Virgo in a negative vitriolic sense, where many of the unforeseen situations or novelty is automatically rejected. And we have by this sign in the astral theme that everyone doesn't live in this function of negativity. Of course not. Fortunately, the majority is in the case of positivity. So, negativity is a connection that we see the refusal between itself and the soul, where there's a big blocking for the creative impulses to come out, all being brought back to the concept of materiality, money, and rules. By the way, and still a negative way, it is. And it is a sign of cheapness, savings we chucked up, the fear of lack, no, not open to creativity, and wishing to live forever on the same frames of life. So in the next few months, we'll be facing quite a big challenge and questions that some will be ready to accept and others to accompany and invite this, but others will be destabilized and will be prone to call upon critics and sterile living, finding no more order that they have already known. So in fact, the collective level is quite in balance with the sheet, and further, we developed of the new cycle that started back in 2010, following the old values that occurred in the economic collapse in 2008. So, as we have heard the noise across life and even the subtle ways into the spring of 2010, and has continued to evolve and progress for the next um, 6 years, we continue to evolve and progress in this dynamic world. In this case, let the harvest begin. So I wish you all a beautiful full moon in the sign of Virgo Pisces. And if you have any questions, please, I do consultations. I do one-on-one readings. If you have any further questions about it, please don't hesitate to email me at ManySpiritOfLight 2012.